Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me for this myofascial release for our quads. So we're going to use several props today. You'll want a roller, maybe several rollers, a variety of therapy balls if you have them, or you might just have a tennis ball. That's totally fine. And you'll want to have a couple blocks as well, and maybe a blanket. And we're going to probably use both rollers, but if you just have one, that's totally fine. You can always make use of whatever tools, props you have. So we're going to start with a long roller. Start with your feet off of your mat, coming to the back of your mat, knees on your mat, roller across your mat, and we're going to lay down onto the roller so that the roller is just about at your upper thighs or hip flexors. Come down onto your forearms, reaching your forearms forward. So we're going to start to pull ourselves forward over the roller and back. So this might be quite sensational. If you have really tight quads, you might want to start with a softer roller. So noticing what your roller is. Is it soft, medium, or hard density? The one I'm rolling on here is medium density, and my smaller one there against the wall is a soft density. So starting going forward and back, make sure you don't go over your knees, stopping when you get to your knees and then going back. And you can go a little faster if that feels better. Option might be to come up onto your hands, pulling up into sort of a variation of a seal or up dog. And Zoe's starting to check this out as well, coming to say hello. So just notice how this feels. And sometimes going more slowly can be more intense. So listen to what your legs are telling you. And you can either start to go slower or you can keep up a steady pace. And you can move your hands further forward if you need to. And then come back onto your knees. Pause for a moment. Notice how that feels. So now I'm going to get the softer roller and do just one leg. So you can do this at your larger roller as well. So working with the roller on just one thigh and bend your other knee forward. So the roller is on my left thigh, being at the edge of the roller. Bend your other knee forward, reach your left hand further forward and use your right hand to pull yourself forward. So the left leg is straight over the roller and just pulling forward and back. Notice whatever way makes sense to you. And maybe scratch your cat as you go forward and back. And notice how this feels. This might be a little more intense, doing just one leg at a time. You might choose a softer roller if you have one available. And if you need to, move that bent knee forward a little bit. Use your arms and hands in whatever way makes sense to you. So if you notice, I'm twisting a little bit to my right. So I'm on the right knee, left forearm, right fingertips, and the left thigh is on the roller. Twisting a little to my right, so I'm getting a little more to the front and outer left quad. So now the other side. So positioning the roller under the right hip flexor, left knee is bent, staying on the left knee, right forearm on the mat. You just have to have a certain cushion for Zoe. She likes the meditation cushion. I think that's what she was trying to tell me, was like, where is the cushion? And so positioning the roller now, laying on the roller with the right quad, right forearm, twisting a little to the left, pulling yourself forward and back. So you're getting a little more to the outer sort of edge of that quad. This can also start to release some of the tension in the IT band. Everything is connected. It's really great to relieve tightness and tension in the quads, as well as start to get into areas that are connected to the IT band. Go at your own pace here. Sometimes this can be quite intense. As you can see, I'm using the softer roller here. I wouldn't be able to go as many repetitions on the more firmer, denser roller. But listen to your body. You might like the more denser roller to do this as well. And notice how your legs feel. Notice those thighs. So now we're going to use some of the balls. So if you just have a tennis ball, that's totally fine. If you have other size therapy balls, the larger ball will be used later. So we're going to start at the mid thigh and then go to the upper hip flexor, and then the upper thigh on the inside, and then the lower thigh right above the knee. The larger one will go at the upper thigh near the hip flexor if you have a larger ball. But you can use the tennis ball for everything. So again, we'll start at the mid thigh, come up to the hip flexor, slightly down and in with the upper thigh, but slightly in, and then at the lower thigh, right above the knee. Lay down onto the belly, and then place that tennis ball at your mid right thigh. And adjust it as you need to. See if you can relax the leg over the ball. It might be quite tense. You can stay on the toes of the right foot and then slowly bend your right knee. If this is too much, you don't have to do this variation. You can stack your hands and rest your head on the back of your hands or your stacked fists. Bend and straighten the right leg and notice how this feels. Do this very slowly. And then take the ball and move it up to the hip flexor. Relax over the ball so you're still on the right leg. And again, option to bend and straighten that right leg. Just keep your left leg relaxed. Notice how this feels. Getting into that right hip flexor. And then just relax over the ball. And then rock off the ball. And now we're going to do the slight inner thigh. So take it to the upper thigh and then slightly in. So you should still feel some pressure on the ball. And then bend and straighten the leg again. This may not be quite as intense. You should still be able to feel it. And then take the ball at the lower thigh, right above the knee. This I find to be the most sensational for me. See if you can relax the leg over the ball, and then again, option to slowly bend and straighten that leg. And you don't have to touch the foot to the mat each time. Slowly bending and straightening the leg. You can do this about 3 or 4 times. And then remove the ball. Notice sensation. And then we'll do the other side. So starting at your mid thigh on the left leg, relax over the ball. This is at the middle front thigh. And again, option to bend the left knee and then slowly re-straighten the leg. Notice how that feels. Slowly bend the leg and then slowly straighten. This can feel quite intense. If it's too much, just relax over the ball. A few more breaths here. And again, you can keep bending and straightening the leg if that feels appropriate. And then rock off the ball. Move it up to your left hip flexor. Relax over the ball. And again, option to slowly bend and straighten the leg. So in this option, the knee is on the mat as you bend and straighten the leg. The ball is right at the hip flexors, right at your hip crease. And you might just relax over the ball. A few more breaths here. And then rock off the ball. And again, we'll go to the inner thigh, inner upper thigh. Sometimes this is sort of a tough place to get. But if you can position the ball just slightly in from the top of your thigh and just relax over the ball. And again, just an option if you would like to bend and straighten that left leg, or just remain still and relaxed over the ball. Inviting that area to begin to relax and release. And then rock off the ball and place the ball at your lower thigh right above the knee. Again, this can be quite juicy. Support your head, relax your upper body. Try to relax your leg over the ball. And then again, option to slowly bend and straighten that left leg. Notice sensation. It should feel quite sensational. Couple more times if you're bending and straightening that leg. Relax over the ball. And then rock off the ball, remove the ball, pause, notice how those legs feel. If you have a larger ball, this might work really nice. So right leg is straight, left knee is forward. So your left shin is parallel to the left edge of your mat, and place the larger ball right at your upper thigh, just below your hip crease. So you're on the upper thigh. Relax here. So we're not moving over the ball in this variation. And again, you can still just use your tennis ball. You might have a block to support your head. Make sure your neck feels comfortable, finding whatever position feels best to you. So having a slightly larger ball makes it just a little more accessible here. You can also just move your left knee out a little wider if you're using a smaller ball, like the tennis ball. And make sure your left knee, which is bent forward, the knee feels comfortable. And then remove the ball and use the smaller ball right above the knee, same position here. So your left knee is bent, right leg is straight, and just relax over the ball. Supporting your head with your hands for a prop. Breathe here. Notice any differences in the thigh, any ropiness or tender spots. The quads sometimes can be really tight. A few more breaths here. So then rock off the ball, set it aside, come back into table pose and bring your right knee forward. Place the ball, the larger ball if you have it, right at your upper left thigh, right below your hip flexors. Right knee is positioned a little bit further forward, coming onto your forearms and supporting your head. Relax over the ball. Just let your body's weight do the work here. You can have your left foot relaxed or the toes tucked, whatever feels best to you. Breathe into the area you're feeling the most sensation, inviting that area to begin to relax and release the tension. A few more breaths here. And then rock off that ball. Reach for your smaller ball. And again, still on the left thigh, you're going to place that ball. So same position, right knee is forward. Place that smaller ball, like a tennis ball, right at the lower thigh, above your knee. Support yourself on your forearms and position that right knee where it feels comfortable to you. So you can position your forearms wherever it feels comfortable. This can be quite intense. And one side might be more intense than the other. I'm thinking this is my really tight side today, so I'm really feeling it. If you're not supporting your head, just keep your neck neutral. Breathe here. If it's really intense, you might use those open mouth sighs of an exhale. And then rock off the ball, set it aside. Notice how those thighs feel. Pause for a moment, and anytime during our practice, do drink water anytime you need to. So you might sit in sort of a deer position and reach for the back foot and just get a little stretch into that back thigh. Notice how that feels. Just getting a little quad stretch on each side. And then we're going to come into another quad stretch. So position your right heel near the outer right hip. Left knee is externally rotated. You might have your blocks handy. And just use the blocks like little armrests and lean back. Notice how this feels. Getting a stretch in your right quad. Your left leg is just positioned like a half butterfly pose. So notice how this feels. This might be all you need to feel that stretch in your quad. If you would like, you can always lay down a little bit further, maybe using the blocks under your upper body. Maybe one block under your upper back, maybe one under your head. And I'm going to demonstrate that on the other side. So now for the left quad, you might lay back, positioning one block under your upper back, making sure your left knee is down on the mat and your head on the other block. This should feel like a nice stretch. Knees should be happy here. So relaxing over the blocks gives your body an opportunity to relax a little more and really get into this stretch. If the left knee is lifting, you might need more support, maybe a blanket on top of the block or a bolster underneath you. Make sure the left knee is down and your knees feel okay. The stretch is in the quad, not the knees. Sometimes feet and ankles don't like this position, so find what works best for you. Noticing sensation. This should feel like a nice stretch after all of the myofascial release we did earlier. This is also great for the upper back and shoulders, relaxing over the blocks. Slowly unbend that left leg. Make your way thoughtfully back up to a seat and pause. Notice how those legs feel. You might come into a toe squat and notice how those thighs feel. You can use blocks on either side of you for your hands. So blocks on either side of your ankles, coming up onto your knees for a camel pose. Lengthen through the low back. Reach your heart up, hands behind your hips, thumbs may be on your lower back, or you might have your hands on the blocks. Lift your heart. This might be as far as you go. And then thoughtfully sit your hips back towards your heels and pause. And then bring yourself onto your belly. Option to reach your right hand for your ankle and your left arm out in front of you, coming into half bow pose, half shalabhasana. And then other side, reaching for your left ankle, lifting your heart, right arm extends forward, maybe lift the right leg. Half locust, half bow pose. Just notice how that feels in the quad. And if you want, you can do both legs. If this is accessible for you, bending your knees, reaching for your ankles, and then press your ankles away from you, lifting up into bow, maybe lifting the knees up. Breathe here. And again, only if this is accessible for you. It's more of an advanced pose, so listen to your body. And then relax. And then hands under your shoulders, press up into cobra, opening up the heart. And then exhale, send your hips back, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Notice how this feels. This should feel quite lovely. Grounding into your feet and hands, lengthening through your spine. Breathe here. Any movement that feels good to you. And then lower down, come to a seat. Notice how you feel. Thank you so much for joining me today for this myofascial release for our quads. Remember to drink your water. Anytime during the practices, drink water whenever you feel thirsty. So I look forward to seeing you at our next practice. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste.